This Monday, May 20th, MLB Betting Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times your entry with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Sign up with promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code MLB SGPN. And we're also brought to you by the Mega Memorial Merch Sale. 15% off of everything in the SGPN merch store with promo code SGPN May. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is late Sunday night here, getting into the Monday picks for the MLB schedule. About I think 12 games on the schedule. We do have a doubleheader between the Padres and the Braves going off on Monday. We'll get into all that here momentarily, but joining me here to help me break everything down on the diamond for the Monday schedule, I got my guy here with me. It's Scott Sudi Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Apologies for the late episode. I was supposed to record one with Lonte earlier today, and I forgot about it. Just simply put. So that's my fault. My bad. We had 2 Game 7s on, so I was focused on basketball, and at no point did I think about a baseball podcast today. So apologies, but I remembered about a couple hours after the fact, and we're here now. So that's on me. My bad.
Yeah, 2 Game 7s, maybe that takes a little bit of a precedent over the MLB show here for the Monday card. But hey, we'll get into it here. I know there's 12 games on the schedule here, but I know a lot of people paying attention to Game 7, at least in the NBA or in the NBA world, like we are, the NBA junkies, like we are. So, yeah, better late than never to get this pod out for everyone. And we do have, I believe, all confirmed pitchers for this Monday card here. So, Scott, let's just get into it, man. We'll try to go through this here, not fairly quickly, but again, do this in a timely manner here. We'll start off here, Game 1 of the doubleheader, like I mentioned, between the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves. They did have a game that rained out earlier this week, and they will be making it up here on Monday. It will be an early start. It's going to be at 12:20 p.m. Eastern start time between the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves. Dylan Cease on the mound here for the Padres, and Reynaldo Lopez here for the Atlanta Braves. Braves are a minus 130 home favorite, plus 110 on the money line for the Padres here. Scott, total is set at 8 in this game. These two teams did play on Sunday Night Baseball. They'll be right back at it early in Atlanta as far as the makeup game here goes here. But what do you think about Cease and Lopez?
Yeah, just give me the under in this game. We've seen the Braves offense struggle over the last couple of weeks. I mentioned a trend in the last episode. Ironically, it was actually the pitching matchup on Sunday night, and it ended up losing. It was the under 8.5. Got voided, though, because it got rained out from Saturday. Point is, though, the Braves have gone under 8.5 in, I think, now 20 of their last 22 games or 19 of their last 21 games. So a lot of the games have been low scoring, and the reason why that didn't work out yesterday is because Elder's not very good. The Braves couldn't hit yesterday either. Darvish was very solid, so the Braves' offense has been underwhelming. I don't mind C strikeouts, as Liverpool FC's mentioning in the comment section. Sorry, Man City won the title, by the way. But I do think you're looking at the potential under 8 again. Atlanta, for whatever reason, just forgot how to hit. I don't know what the story is, but their games have been low scoring. Assuming that Elder, once again, was an outlier because he just is not very good, I expect it to go back to normal, see a low-scoring 4-2 type game. Give me the under.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the under. Both these pitchers, especially Reynaldo Lopez, has been absolutely fantastic for this Braves pitching staff. 2-1 on the season, 1.34 ERA. 4 starts he's met at home, Scott, for this Braves team. He has a 0.77 ERA. He's only allowed 2 earned runs and 23 1/3 innings pitched. And his last 4 starts have all gone under this total of 8 or 8.5. Again, definitely shop around, get that best number if you're able to find that 8.5 in this game between these two pitchers. So I'm right there with you on the under in this game. To start off Monday, early start here, like I mentioned, 12:20 p.m. Eastern start time. All right, Scott, before we continue here on this episode, let me tell everyone about the NASCAR gambling podcast. It's the biggest week in racing, the Indy 500, Monaco Grand Prix, and the Coke 600. Rod and Cody from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and F1 Gambling Podcast have you covered. Make sure to join their Kyle Larson diecast card giveaway that's free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/race to register and make sure to subscribe to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and the F1 Gambling Podcast. Plus, we're running a mega Memorial Day merch sale, 15% off of everything in the merch store. Make sure you guys use that promo code SGPN May. A lot of nice stuff for the MLB Gambling Podcast as well. As far as merch goes, whether you want a hat, t-shirt, hoodie, we got it all out there. Make sure you guys get over there and go to the merch store. 15% off of everything. Make sure you guys use that promo code SGPN May. All right, next game on the schedule here, we'll go over to another early start time for this Monday card. 3:07 Eastern start time for the Chicago White Sox. They are in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. Eric Fetty getting the start here for the White Sox, and it'll be Jose Barrios getting the start here for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are a -205 home favorite, +170 on the money line for the Chicago White Sox. Total is also set at 8 in this game here, Scott. White Sox and Blue Jays. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I might actually take a spin with the White Sox here. I saw them get killed by the Yankees over the weekend, so I did see a lot of them, and they're not very good. However, Fetty has randomly been really good. He's 4-0, 2.6 ERA. Barrios has been good too. 4-3, 2.82 ERA, but the 3 losses tells you the run support has not been there for him. He also was very good to start the year. Recently has not been as solid. So I think that this price might actually be a little bit interesting, especially for the White Sox first 5. I can see Chicago hanging in there. Maybe if you want to go for Blue Jays first 5 team total under, that might be worth a look. But I kind of like Fetty. Fetty's been good this year. So I feel like if you want to just fade an inconsistent Toronto offense, maybe with a contrarian angle, I don't mind Toronto first 5 team total under.
Yeah, I think the only concern I do about Fetty is that he's been really good at home, but on the road, he does have a 4.87 ERA. At home this season, 4-0 with a 1.14 ERA. He's at 11 earned runs in 20 and a third innings pitched on the road, but at home, 31 and 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs allowed in that span for the White Sox. So, but again, I don't trust this Toronto Blue Jays offense. They've been very, very inconsistent, and I know the Chicago White Sox at home, on the road, have not been very good either. Which again leads me to another under. I think there's another spot if you're able to find a 4.5 in that first 5 innings, or even a 4. I'm comfortable with in the first 5 innings. I do think these pitchers can go along well here. And especially I don't trust that, like I mentioned, that Blue Jays offense here. So another under for me in this game. Let's go over to the next game on the schedule here. We'll go over to a 6:10 Eastern start. The New York Mets, they are in Cleveland to take on the Guardians. Tyler McGill gets a start here for the New York Mets. It'll be Ben Lively for the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians are a -130 home favorite, +110 on the money line for the New York Mets here. Total is set at 8.5 in this game here. Scott, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, both pitchers are kind of similar in the sense that you really don't like them too much, but their numbers aren't that bad for some reason. So I'll go with the Guardians in this one. I think they're the better overall team. We saw the Mets kind of struggle recently against Miami. Remember when Edwin Diaz was good? Good times. But the point is he has not been very good this year, and he got shelled the other night, gave up a game-tying 3-run homer to Bell. They lost in extras. I don't like the Mets in their current form. I think that's well documented. If you want to hear more about the Mets, wait for Dylan to do an episode. But I'm going to go with the Guardians in this one. I think the line's cheap. They're 30-17. They're 15-6 at home. I mean, they've been solid. So Lively's been fine so far this season. I think -130 is cheap. So give me the Guardians.
Yeah, they've won 6 in a row. They swept the Twins over the weekend, which was a big series early on, at least for that AL Central division. Guardians are good in form right now, right? They're pitching well. They're hitting the ball well as well. New York Mets coming off of the series against the Miami Marlins. So they are traveling here, going into Cleveland here. So I'll stick with the home team here as well. I think they're just in better form right now in the Cleveland Guardians. Ben Lively, like you mentioned, this was a guy that we were fading last season. But he's been really good, especially at home. Very small sample, at least of the numbers of innings that he's pitched at home, 12 1/3, but only allowed 2 earned runs in that span. Last 5 games, he is 2-1 with a 2.96 ERA. So the walks are the one thing that do concern me about Ben Lively. But I think, again, he can go along well here against the New York Mets and against a pitcher who is coming off of the IL in his first start since March 31st. So that's another spot that I do like fading when we talk about a pitcher coming off the IL. Let's get over to the 6:20 Eastern start time, the game 2 between the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves. Randy Vasquez getting the start here for the Padres. It'll be Chris Sale on the mound here for the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta is a minus 225 home favorite in this game for game 2 of the doubleheader, plus 185 for the Padres. Total is at 8.5 in this game here, Griffin. And Scott. And the I should say Chris Sale has turned back the clock here, looking like a Cy Young pitcher again, prior to all the injuries that he was dealing with, coming over from the Red Sox here. But what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, for this one, I think I'm gonna have to consider going with the Red Sox. You said the Red Sox game, right?
I'm sorry, the Braves and the Padres game too.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought you were talking about the Red Sox. I'm gonna go with Sale. I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't. Vasquez has been a bit underwhelming so far this season. Not very good. As a Yankees fan, I saw him pitch a couple times. He's really bad. Sale's been great. Turn the clock back. He looks
Yep.
like he did when he was with the Red Sox back in his prime. He looks really good. So, yeah, give me another low-scoring game because that's what the Braves do. But I think Sale pitches a gem. So I don't mind Sale strikeouts. I don't mind potentially under for the first 5 for the team total for San Diego. I really just can't go against Sale. I just think Sale's been really, really solid. So give me the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely phenomenal. Last 2 starts, 13 innings pitched, 8 hits, 0 earned runs allowed, 19 strikeouts to 1 walk. The Braves have won his last 5 starts by multiple runs. Let's see here, 8-3, 6-2, 5-2, 5-0, 7-0. So they've won by at least 3 runs in his last 5 starts. And he's been, like we mentioned, he's been absolutely phenomenal. The numbers speak for themselves. He's really been really good in Atlanta as well. He's won all 5 starts at home for the Atlanta Braves, but it's been opposite for Randy Vasquez, who the Padres have lost all 4 of the starts he's made for the Padres. Last 4 games, he's pitched 0-2 with a 6.32 ERA, 11 strikeouts, 4 walks, gives up a lot of hard contact as well. So I think that is a good spot here for Chris Sale against his Padres team. If you want to look at the run line here for the Braves with Sale, right now you can see a minus 1.5, minus 104 currently over on FanDuel in this game for the Atlanta Braves. Excuse me. Let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. We'll go over to a 6:40 Eastern start. The Milwaukee Brewers, they are in Miami to take on the Marlins in this game. I'm currently seeing Joe Ross getting the start here for the Brewers and Ryan Weathers getting the start here for the Miami Marlins. The Brewers are a minus 130 road favorite here, plus 110 on the money line for the Marlins. Total is 8 in this game here, Scott. What are you thinking?
Yeah, Weathers is a pitcher that I don't think is that good. I watched him on San Diego, was never really a big fan. But Miami's been okay recently. They've won 4 or 5. We know Milwaukee's been a solid team this season. I'm not a big Ross guy, though, so maybe Miami's offense might be a bit undervalued in this game. I want to go with Miami, but I wonder if minus 110, if plus 110, I mean, is just too cheap for a team that's 18 under 500. It might be. It might be too cheap. The Brewers did end up losing the series to Houston. Houston's starting to play better baseball. They still have won 3 of their last 5, but I think I'm going to trust my instincts here. I'm going to lean to Miami. I think Weathers is the better pitcher. If I had to pick between the 2 of them, Miami has won 4 or 5, so maybe they have some momentum. I'll lean to Miami. I'm not going to bet this game. I don't mind the over, but I think that the line's short for a reason. I'm just not a Ross guy, and I do think that Miami, I know that they're not a good team. I also don't think they're going to be this bad for the rest of the season, so they're
Yeah.
starting to get a little bit better. I don't mind Miami in the spot.
Yeah, Ryan Weathers has just been a guy that has not gotten any type of run support from the Miami Marlins. You take a look at his last 5 starts, in particular his last 3 starts, he's gotten a combined 3 runs of support in his last 3 starts. And maybe that cure is Joe Ross, right? I think that number 8 may be a little bit conservative right now on this total, where you probably want to feign Ryan Weathers coming off of the best start of his season, which was against the Detroit Tigers, 8 shutout innings, only allowed 3 hits. But prior to that, he had allowed at least 3 earned runs, excuse me, in 4 straight starts. So if you want to look at a first 5 innings over, if you want to fade both of these pitchers, I couldn't talk you off of that. A full game over as well, like Scott mentioned. I think that's the way to go in this game. There may be some value here on the Miami Marlins, but I want to see they give him some type of run support here to Ryan Weathers. But again, Joe Ross, like I mentioned, may just be that cure for the Miami Marlins. All right, Scott, before we do get over to the next game on the schedule here, let me tell everyone about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. Make entries of all basketball or mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. New customers get a pick'em special in the lobby when they do sign up. Underdog will be running a ton of different promos, bonus cash airdrops, special giveaways, and more throughout the NBA playoffs. So make sure to follow at Underdog Picks on Twitter to keep an eye out. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and Canada. So also, I should mention this. They just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. Sign up with promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick, plus a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code MLB SGPN. All right, Scott, let's keep it rolling here. Let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. We'll go over to a 6:45 Eastern start. The Minnesota Twins, they are in the nation's capital to take on the Nationals. Currently seeing Pablo Lopez get the start here for the Twins, and it'll be Mitchell Parker for the Washington Nationals. Nationals are a home underdog of a price of plus 140. Twins are minus 166 on the money line. Total is at 8 in this game here, Scott. What are you thinking about Lopez versus Parker?
Yeah, Lopez this season has been a bit underwhelming. He hasn't been terrible, but I think people thought he might be a Cy Young candidate potentially, and he's been underwhelming. Parker's been fine. 2-2, 3.09 ERA. I understand why Minnesota is favored in this game. Washington was around 500. Then they kind of fell off a cliff. So if you want to go based on current form, I guess the answer is Minnesota. I don't want to lay 170. I think 170 is too high, just based on these teams. I think that Washington might be a bit alive with Parker on the mound, but I think it's one of those games where Minnesota probably wins, but based on the value, I think it's Washington or pass. I just think 145 is too big. I think that Lopez is a solid pitcher, but I think that he's priced based on reputation as opposed to performance this season. So I think Minnesota should be closer to 150, in my opinion, instead of 170. So based on value, I'm going to lean to Washington.
Yeah, he hasn't been very good on the road thus far this season, has Pablo Lopez. Got off to a great start in his first start of the season against the Royals back in March, 7 innings. But other than that, I mean, you take a look against the Angels, he gave up 4 earned runs in 5 innings. Against the Orioles, he was pretty good, but against the Tigers, he gave up 5 earned runs in 4 innings. Like I mentioned, Mitchell Parker has been pretty good, especially at home. 2 starts. I know it's a very small sample, but he's only allowed 2 earned runs in 12 and 2/3 innings pitched here. So I think there's definitely value here on the Nationals. If we look at it in the first 5 innings, maybe take the bullpen out of it. Couldn't talk you off of that, but I think this number is just too steep for me to get behind the Minnesota Twins, especially it's for a team that has lost 6 games in a row, who got swept against the Cleveland Guardians over the weekend as well, like we talked about it earlier. So, I really got the Nationals in the first 5 innings here. Or maybe a first 5 innings under as well. Just take the bullpens out of it for these 2 teams. 6:50 Eastern start here, Scott. Let's go with the AL East teams. The Boston Red Sox, they are in Tampa to take on the Rays in this game. Tanner Houck getting the start here for the Red Sox. It'll be Taj Bradley getting the start here for the Rays. Rays is slight home favorite here, minus 112 on the money line, minus 108 for the Boston Red Sox. Total is at 7.5 in this game. I do believe these 2 pitchers just matched up against each other just last week back in Boston. And it was a pretty good outing for Tanner Houck. And he's been solid this season, especially over his last 5 games. But it just hasn't translated to a whole heck of a lot of winning. We talked a lot about, or some of the pitchers earlier in this episode, who aren't getting run support. And I think Tanner Houck is the guy that fits that category there as well. He's coming off a good start, which was against the Rays, 5 2/3. Did have 3 walks in that game, 7 strikeouts. Did give up 5 hits, only 1 earned run, 3 runs overall. But Taj Bradley, I think, was also pretty good in this matchup. Defensively, the Red Sox have not been very good. I think that's the part that does make me nervous in this game. I think that these pitchers can go along well here. I think runs could be at a premium in this game here as well. Taj Bradley in his last start against this Red Sox team, 5 innings, 2 earned runs to give up a home run in that game, did have 6 strikeouts. So if you look at a K prop for Taj Bradley or even Tanner Houck in this game, I couldn't talk you off of that. But I do expect this to be a little bit of a lower scoring game. I would take a look at the under 7.5 in this game. Now lead to the Rays side here, Scott. What do you got for the Rays and Red Sox?
Yeah, I saw that Tampa did win 4 straight. Then Manoah shut them down on Sunday. Good for Manoah. I think he gave up 1 hit in about 7 innings. I think I'm going to lean to Boston. I recognize that Tampa might be a slightly better team, but it seems like a pick'em to me, and I'm getting plus money. I'm not going to bet this game. Besides the strikeout props, I think that from a side perspective, there's not much separating these teams right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the plus money. If it's a coin flip, I'll take tails at plus 110.
Fair enough. All right, let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. We'll go over to, let me get back to the odd screen here. 7:05 Eastern start. Seattle Mariners, they are headed to Yankee Stadium to take on the Yankees. Logan Gilbert getting the start here for the Mariners, and it'll be Marcus Stroman for the New York Yankees. Yankees are a minus 135 home favorite, plus 114 on the money line for the Mariners. Total is at 8 in this game here, Scott. What are you thinking about the Mariners and your Yankees?
Yeah, I'll go with the Yankees. They were fortunate to face off against the White Sox, but that's not their problem. Ended up swept the Twins earlier in the week. They've won 7 straight, so they're in good form. As for Seattle, they've been hovering. They've been winning some and then losing some. They kind of just alternate back and forth. I'll take the Yankees at home. I think the Yankees are the better team. I think that even though Seattle's in first place, AL West has been surprisingly weak so far this season, so not really overly impressive. Houston, by the way, only 4 back, so keep an eye out on that. But point is, the Yankees, I do think, are the better team. First place in a pretty tough division in general, and I think the Yankees at home should get the job done. They're 16-6 at home. Seattle is 10-12 on the road. You're looking at Stroman being solid. I'll take the Yankees.
Yeah, Logan Gilbert has struggled against his Yankees team. Last 3 starts, he's allowed a total of 18 earned runs to his Yankees team. He did face his team close around this time last year. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs he gave up in that game, 2 home runs, and this was all at T-Mobile Park, which is more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And now you get to go to Yankee Stadium with that short porch in right field and going up against a team that's swinging the bat very well right now. And again, like you mentioned, it was against some of the poorer teams in the MLB, but that's momentum you can carry into the next series. And again, Logan Gilbert has not been very good. So the guys, I think they're on it. I agree with them. Yankees team total over would be the look for me if you're able to get a 4.5 at plus money. I think this is a good opportunity for them to get to Logan Gilbert here. Marcus Stroman. I think the thing about that worries me is the walks for Stroman. I think at some point it may catch up to him. Coming off a great start against the Minnesota Twins, but we talked about the Twins that just not in good form right now, who have lost 6 games in a row. But in that game, he pitched 6 innings, 2 hits, allowed no earned runs. He did have 3 walks in that game. He's issued 16 walks over his last 5 starts, 23 strikeouts, 16 walks. I think that's just one thing that I have a concern about here. But I do think the Yankees bats can go along well here against Logan Gilbert. Like I mentioned, historically, has not been very good against this Yankees lineup. Let's go to a 7:40 Eastern start time here, Scott. We've got the Detroit Tigers. They are in Kansas City to take on the Royals. Reese Olson get the start here for the Detroit Tigers. And it'll be Michael Wacha for the Kansas City Royals. Royals are a minus 118 home favorite, minus 102 on the money line for the Detroit Tigers. Total is at 8.5 in this game here, Scott. What are your thoughts on Reese Olson and Michael Wacha?
Yeah, I'm not a Wacha guy. Kansas City, though, has been solid. It ended up having the luxury of facing off against Oakland for 3 games. That was a free 3 wins. Covered the run line every game. For the sake of this matchup, though, the pitching matchup suggests you should take Olson because he's been the much better pitcher so far this season. The issue with Detroit is that they are still not exactly the greatest offensively until the last 2 games. They've scored 21 runs in their last 2 games. So maybe the offense gets going. We'll see what happens. It's really tough because Olson has great overall numbers. He has a 2.09 ERA and a .99 WHIP, and he's 0-4. He's just Felix Hernandez or Jacob deGrom. Like, they just don't win games. Like, he doesn't get any run support. Wacha, though, is awful. So I have to figure out how I'm going to lean into this. I mean, Kansas City, first 5 team total under. You back Olson, you ignore every other variable on the card. Like I don't know what else
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do there because Kansas City's the better team. They've been playing well. They're good at home, but I have a hard time picking Detroit when they can't win games for this guy. So I'll take the first 5 team total under for Kansas City.
Yeah, we could see what the first 5 inning like plus half a run would be for the Tigers in this game. It may be a little bit juiced. But even their money line right now, like they're actually favored in the first 5 innings, minus 125 are the Detroit Tigers in this game. That plus half is at minus 166. So I think the books are a step ahead of me in thinking what I was thinking here, just taking the first 5 innings for the Detroit Tigers. And Michael Walker, it just comes down to the fact, do you trust him? And I don't think either one of us do, because he did face this Tigers team earlier this season, back on April 28th. 5 2/3 innings. He allowed 9 hits in that game, 4 earned runs. Two of the 9 hits were home runs. And they did end up losing that game. Did the Royals with Michael Walker 4-1. So I think Reese Olson could go along well here. He did have a brilliant outing against this Royals team back on April 26th. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run he allowed in that game. But it's also the fact, like you mentioned, right? And I think, TVDBJ mentioning this in the chat as well, is that just not getting any type of run support. But I do think this opportunity that the Tigers, maybe they found something offensively against the Diamondbacks over the weekend. They can carry that against the Royals and in particular Michael Walker in this game here. So I'll take them in the first 5 innings here. Money line, that's at minus 125, like I did mention. And I think Reese Olson can go along well here. He's been absolutely fantastic, like you read off the numbers, and coming off of a brilliant outing, 8 shutout innings against the Miami Marlins, 3 hits in that game. He allowed 6 strikeouts. So yeah, I do like Reese Olson and the Tigers in the first 5 innings in this game. All right, Scott, before we do get over to the next games on the schedule here, let me tell everyone about the newest sponsor over on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. That is going to be Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm, it gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning our algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help feel even more confident in your picks, which you can make wherever you normally place your bets or DFS picks. From superstar to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data, without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom NBA model so you can get AI-backed money line, spread, total picks for every playoff game. Start a free 7-day trial and start winning your NBA player props with Rhythm. Available wherever you do get your apps. All right, Scott, let's keep it rolling here. A couple more games left on the Monday schedule. Typically, Mondays I have a shorter schedule here, but a couple more games to get through here. Let's go over to the game between the Baltimore Orioles and the St. Louis Cardinals, 7:45 Eastern start. We've got the Orioles. They are visiting the Cardinals. Dean Kramer getting the start here for the Orioles. It'll be Sonny Gray for the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals are a minus 115 home favorite. Minus 105 on the money line for the Baltimore Orioles. Total is at 7.5 in this game here. Scott, what are your thoughts on Orioles and Cardinals?
Yeah, the Cardinals are favored. Yeah, what a joke. I'll take the Orioles in this one. Sonny Gray, I recognize how good he was to start the year. He's been awful for the last couple outings, and I feel like people haven't really noticed because his overall numbers are still fine. He's 5-2, 3.05 ERA, but you're looking at the last 2 starts, and he's gone 11 innings, 11 earned runs. He's been terrible. So I don't know why I'd want to take him in the spot. Now, I recognize that Gray's better than Kramer, but when you're giving up basically 1 run per inning over your last 2 starts, I don't think you should be favored as the far inferior team. The Orioles are clearly better than this team. It's not close, and it feels like Gray's being priced based solely on name recognition and what he did over the first month or 2 of the season, but he's been terrible for the last couple outings. So give me Baltimore. I think Baltimore's the better team.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, right? Sonny Gray, 11 innings, 11 earned runs. They were on the road. Maybe he's a better pitcher at home, but you're going up against the Baltimore Orioles offense, right? And I think that Orioles, I mean, they've been very good thus far this season, to say the least. And a pitcher that's in bad form right now, going up against this offense, I think that might be a little bit of trouble for him. And despite him at home, he's 2-1 with a .98 ERA. 2 earned runs allowed in 18 and a third innings pitched for Sonny Gray in St. Louis. But again, like I mentioned, it is the Baltimore Orioles. Dan Kramer has been okay. He's been actually pretty good on the road for this Orioles team. 4 starts. He's 2-1 with a 1.88 ERA, 5 earned runs allowed in 24 innings pitched. So I do think this is a good spot here for the Baltimore Orioles. You're getting a good cheap price here at minus 105 for the Orioles here. So I'm with you on the Orioles in this game. Let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. We'll go to a 8:11 Eastern start time. Let's go to my part of the world. We got the LA Angels in town to take on the Houston Astros. Reed Detmer's going to start here for the LA Angels. It'll be Framber Valdez for the Houston Astros. Astros are a minus 205 money line home favorite, plus 172 for the LA Angels. Total is at 8.5 in this game here. Scott, what are your thoughts on the Angels and the Astros?
Yeah, I think I got to take Houston. I know people hate this team, and they were awful for the first month or so, but I think we all saw this coming. Eventually, Houston would figure it out. The AL West has not really found any team to have a massive lead in the division, and Houston's 4 back. They're hanging in there. So
Yep.
I think they'll probably win the division by the end of the season. It's not exactly a hot take, but they've been in good form, and the Angels we know are a terrible baseball team. So I don't know if the pitchers actually matter. Houston beating Milwaukee, though, in 2 straight games is pretty and 2 games out of the series is pretty impressive.
Yep.
Been at home, and I think that they're in line for a good showing here. So I don't mind the Astros once again. Probably minus 1.5 in this game.
Yeah, I like the Astros in the spot, and it's been how bad Reed Detmers has been over his last 5 starts. He's allowed 26 earned runs and 27 and 2/3 innings pitched. Not very good. He's at least 4 earned runs in 5 straight starts. The Angels have lost all 5 of those starts by multiple runs in 4 of the 5 games. And historically, Reed Detmers has not been very good against the Astros. You take a look at his last 4 starts against the Astros dating back to 2022. 4 earned runs he's allowed in 4 straight starts against the Astros. Last season against his Astros team, he faced them 3 times, Scott, 0-2 with a 10.13 ERA. So I think the hot bats can continue here for the Astros. I'd be all over their team total in this game, whether it's in the first 5 innings or whether it's full game of 4.5. I will also be on the run line here at minus 1.5 plus 105. I can think, like you mentioned, this is time right now for this Astros team. They're probably going to get back to 500 by the time the weekend is over, come next Sunday, because they have the Angels, and then they go to the Oakland A's over the weekend. So definitely 2 winnable series coming up for this Astros team this week. So yeah, all over the Astros in this game here.
I want to see the odds, though, for the division quickly. I just want to pull that
Yeah.
up. Houston right now has the 3rd lowest odds. Seattle's plus 110. Texas is plus 225. Once again, a reminder to shop your lines. Houston's plus 235. Yeah, just give me the 235.
Yeah.
They were the preseason pick for most people.
Yeah.
And they're 4 back. They were terrible to start the year. You mentioned the easy schedule they have over the next week or so. Nobody in that AL West team is in that division is willing to run away with this thing.
Mm-mm.
I'll tell you right now, at some point this season, the Astros will cut it to within 1 game. They'll probably be leading at some point in the regular season. Plus 235, sure. Give me those odds to win the division.
Yeah, and this team isn't afraid to go out and make a move if they need to, right? We've seen them do it for the pitching side, and that's just really been the downfall of this team. How bad the bullpen has been, how bad the starters have been, and if they need to go out and make a move for available pitcher.
And they're always aggressive.
Yeah, and they are. So, yeah, like you mentioned, this division just has not been very good right now. So that you're not going to see that plus 235 price. I mean, come next Sunday when we're doing this pod here, Scott, they might be like at a plus 150 price, maybe even less than that.
I just don't get why Seattle's plus 110. They're only like a game up on Texas anyway. That just feels like a cheap line for what looks like a 3-way race for the entire season.
And yeah, the odds maker probably just looking at the record of these teams, like, all right, well, Seattle's favorite right now. We'll just give them the plus odds. But right now, I think this is the time right now. Could have probably got better odds on the Astros maybe a week ago as well, but I think this is still a great price to jump on them right now at plus 235. And you could get that over on DraftKings right now. And just to compare that on FanDuel right now, the Astros are plus 175 to win this division. So again, if you have access to DraftKings, I would definitely jump on this right now for the Houston Astros. Last game of the night here, I believe. It will be the Arizona Diamondbacks. They are going to be in LA to take on the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Let me get back to my odd screen here. Slade Ciccone getting the start here for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it'll be Yamamoto Day for the LA Dodgers. Dodgers are minus 225 home favorite, plus 188 on the money line for the Diamondbacks. Total is at 8.5 in this game here. Scott, what are your thoughts on the D-backs and the Dodgers?
Yeah, the issue is for Arizona's actual pitcher in this game. It seems like it's going to be Mantiply, who is, I don't think, very good, and I believe he's not going to give you any length. So you kind of have a bullpen day
Yeah.
for Arizona. I mean, you mentioned that he's going to be an opener, but that kind of tells that they're not exactly sold on their pitching options for this game. Yamamoto's been solid when you take the Korea game out of the equation. But the question is, do you think that this price is too steep? It's the same question every time for LA. Do you want the run line or do you want the other team on the money line? The same thing every game.
Yeah.
I think for this one, I am going to go with the Dodgers on the run line here. Lost the opening game against the Reds as like minus 300 favorites, and they ended up winning the next two games by 4 runs. Arizona, though, gave up 8+ runs in back-to-back games to Detroit. That's pretty tough to do. I'll go with the Dodgers here, minus 1.5. Ohtani keeps destroying baseballs. Betts has still been solid. We know the lineup's good. Yamamoto's been very solid. No real reason for me to be, I'd say, hesitant to go with the Dodgers in the spot because I think they're better than the Diamondbacks every single area. So give me the Dodgers run line at, I think, a pretty solid price. It's around minus 105, minus 115. Sure, I'll take that.
Yeah, Yamamoto faced this Diamondbacks team earlier this season, back on May 1st. 6 shutout innings, 5 hits he allowed, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks in that game. Again, Arizona, I think Ciccone just might just be, like you mentioned, a starter, maybe a couple innings before he does get pulled. It turns into a bullpen day, but he just has not been very good. Last start was against the Reds, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 6 earned runs he gave up. Had a decent outing against the Reds. Prior to that, against the Padres, 4 1/3, 5 hits, 6 earned runs. He allowed 2 home runs. He's prone to giving up the home run ball. You can't do that against this team, especially with those top 3 guys with Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman, especially Betts and especially Ohtani, who's just having absolutely ripping the cover off of the baseball right now. So, yeah, Dodgers to run line here for me. If you want to look at their team total to go over as well, I think that will be the way to go in this game for the Dodgers. That was the last game on the schedule here for the Monday card. We're at 12 games, 11 to 12 games on the schedule with one doubleheader between the Padres and the Braves. But I think we got some good matchups here and some good picks out to you guys, which leads us to our picks for this game here, Scott. Or sorry, for this Monday card here, Scott. You want to lead us off with your lock and dog?
Sure. So for the lock on this one, I think I am going to go with the Yankees to get the job done against the Mariners. At the end of the day, I just think that the Yankees are in great form. They've won 7 straight. Seattle's a team that's in first place, but I think we all agree is not exactly that great. They seem like they're fine, and you kind of just want more, and they just won't give it to you. But the Yankees have been in good form. I think that they're definitely the better team here. And I think that based on Gilbert's numbers against the Yankees historically, which I'll pull up now, but the point is, Gilbert has not exactly been in great form recently, and I think that Stroman is definitely capable of matching Gilbert if he does pitch well. So I'll go with the Yankees here. I see minus 129 as the best price, so I'll go with that. Gilbert, his last couple starts, he's allowed 11 earned in his last 2 starts combined. Got killed by Minnesota in his last road start. But his numbers against the Yankees in his career, to pull up the active batters here, the Yankees active batters have seen him a total of 58 times in plate appearances, a 362 on base percentage. So they've done well against Gilbert in the past. I don't mind it, and the Yankees are at home. So give me the Yankees money line at minus 129 for me. For my dog, I am going to go with the Astros minus 1.5 against the Angels. Baby dog, it's around plus 105. Angels were decent over the weekend against the Rangers, but the Rangers have just not been very good this season, so I'm not going to overrate that performance. But the Astros have been rolling. Valdez has been very, very good. And Detmers has been awful, just in general. And we know against the Astros last year, you mentioned it, he was getting shelled by this team on a regular basis. I think Houston torches them again, and I think that Houston wins this game in multiple runs. Give me one of the hotter teams in the league against an Angels team that, yes, has played better, but we know is not very good, and it's plus money. So give me the Astros plus 105 at minus 1.5.
Yeah, right there with you. With my lock, I'm just going to take the Astros team total over 4.5. I think they get to Reed Detmers early, and then you turn it over to the bullpen. This bullpen has not been very good for the Angels as well. Again, the starter for the Angels, Reed Detmers, has allowed at least 4 earned runs in 4 straight starts against this Astros team. So I think they get to him early and often, just carry over that momentum into this series that they built over the last couple series. So I think they continue scoring the runs here. So over 4.5 Astros team total for me. For my dog, Baltimore Orioles run line. I think it's a nice price here. Sonny Gray, I know, has been good at home in St. Louis for this Cardinals team, but I just think he's in very, very bad form right now. Now those 2 starts were on the road, but I need to see him get corrected before I can back him. And I think that Dean Kramer's numbers on the road has been absolutely fantastic. I think it's an opportunity where I think they can win by multiple runs here. And I think they can get to Sonny Gray here. So I'll take the Orioles on the run line here. Minus 1.5, plus 154 right now, currently over on DraftKings. There's a plus 158 over on FanDuel right now. But I do think this is a good price here for the Orioles on the run line to win by at least 2 runs against this Cardinals team. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast. About 11 games on the schedule for the Monday cards. Hopefully we can get your week started off on the right foot here with some winners on this podcast and this episode. Scott, anything else you want to mention to our listeners before we go our separate ways?
Not really. Apologies once again for the late episode. That's my fault. Besides that, I have a tennis show after this. So if you want to check out some live tennis picks, you know where to find me on the Tennis Gambling Podcast show on YouTube with Tennis Gambling Podcast SGPN. Besides that, find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio.
Yeah, make sure you guys get over to Scott after this show if you're watching live and continue SGPN. I mean, guys are live right now over on the newest show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network with the campus tours on Stadium Heads with Colby. I know Sean and Ryan are doing a best ball draft right now as well. So we are the hardest working company in the gambling space. And again, all for free. So do us a favor. If you haven't already subscribed to the show here on the MLB Gambling Podcast, leave us a rating and review. If you already have left one for us, leave it for another show that you guys do follow. We really appreciate all the reviews that do come in. So appreciate everybody that does tune in with us on the MLB Gambling Podcast. All right, we'll be back or to our regular schedule during the weekdays. You guys know how we do it, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Monday to do the Tuesday games. So look out for us then. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.